Neil Kinnock. Nice to see you. Neil Kinnock. Yes, nice to see you. Good to see you. Thanks very much. Can I come in? You are expecting me, aren't you?
I am.
Okay, fine. You go ahead.
I didn't put the flags out. You're very welcome.
Go ahead.
That step.
Okay,
That's your original step, and that's your original door.
Okay. Yes, I said that this must have been built on, that's right.
Yeah.
Because I was brought up in a prefab.
You've been in here before?
Oh yes, indeed.
Okay.
For 17 years.
Oh, good. Radio.
10% of it by the house builder, 10% of it by the government.
Do you ever have to pay it back, or is it a straight discount?
No, it's not. It's what's called a second charge. It's a
Okay.
That's it.
That's good. Perfect piece.
I'll just have a little cup of coffee. I'll put this outside.
That's okay, you don't have to worry about that, you know.
Would you like to squat yourself down, or
Right you are, can I take my coat
take
off?
your coat off? There's a coat hanging outside.
Fine. Oh, I'll stick it on the chair, yeah, it'll be fine. Can I have a look around? The kitchen and everything. Right.
Kitchenette.
Right, yeah, where did the folding, that's where the folding table used to be, was it?
This what?
The folding table.
Yes, yes. That's where it used to
That's
be.
where it used to be, yeah.
And there's a little catch there.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's right.
That used to be a refrigerator.
Yes, yeah.
And that was an electric spot,
remember.
Electrolux, but it was gas operated.
Yeah.
Used to be a grill,
Yes.
and a grill down there, and it's flicked, and the flint ignited the
Used
gas.
to ignite it. Yes, I remember. That's right. Well, this was my bedroom, the second bedroom.
Was it?
Yeah, because I was an only
Did you live in a
child.
prefab?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
For
it's
17
fine.
years. From
17.
1948 until, that's right, until 1965.
Ah,
Yeah.
I've been since 46 till now.
Yeah.
66 years.
Yeah,
And I made no disguise, I love it.
yeah.
It's what could have
Well, the other thing is they could
wouldn't mind so much.
build some more.
if I thought my place was going to be used by somebody else.
Well, do you remember how these came to be built? When an Ivan Bevan
Yeah, no,
turned the tank manufacturing factories
yes,
into factories that manufactured the prefabricated parts for these houses.
oh yeah,
And so it was literally swords being beaten into plowshares.
yeah.
The tank factories and some of the aircraft factories started manufacturing the parts
Yeah.
for these houses.
Well, these are
They should do it again and create a lot of jobs. And inside was all the features here, like the
Yeah.
fireplace, were brick.
Yeah.
It was like
Well, we had-
burning hard coal anthracite to generate the heating. And it was central heating, and it worked. It actually worked.
Oh, it is. It warmed up, but not much. If you stood in front of the fire, it was lovely.
Yeah.
But they're over 30
What
years
was
old.
great about ours was you
Yeah.
could climb into the top of the airing cupboard
Yeah.
and get access to everything. So if you wanted to change the plumbing or the wiring or anything,
Oh,
you
yeah.
only had to go through one entrance, and it was completely flat. It was a great house to work in.
Yeah.
I learned all my electricians
Oh,
and plumbing there. Yeah.
now, these staggy things. Lovely.
Okay, bye-bye, Izzy.
Is a star. Ours was very small and built for key workers. My mother was a district nurse, so she qualified. But in the 9 houses we had the deputy manager of one of the manufacturing companies in the town, 2 police, a dental mechanic, an ambulance driver, you know, all people who were critical to the operation of the community, really.
And were they pleased to get their prefab?
Oh, they were delighted, because the place that we came from, I was 6 when we moved. I remember the rats. You could see the rats running behind the wallpaper, and the
Honestly, frightening.
yeah, and well, you just get used to it. But it was what was funny. The back of the house overlooked the coal mine. The front of the house overlooked a gasworks,
Right.
and in between our house and the gasworks was a railway line,
Right.
which ran alongside the road. And I used to say, my mother used to call about 4:30, Neil, come in, your tea's getting dirty.
My love.
Okay,
Would you
thanks
like
very
a
much.
drink? We haven't seen you for years.
Well, I don't get around
And you
much
look
anymore.
marvellous.
And so do you, my love. So do you. You needn't have dressed up for
Oh,
me,
not
though.
at all. Thank you. It's lovely to see you.
Okay, nice to see you.
And thank you for coming to our home.
No, it's beautiful. Lovely.
Would you like a drink or something?
No, I'm fine, thanks. I had a cup of tea earlier on.
Sit down, my love. Let's have a home.
Because you know what my connection is? I lived in a prefab for 17 years.
All right.
And, my mother and father did. I lived there for 14 years and then I went to university. But our prefabs were a slightly different design, but the same principle.
Of course.
And little palaces like this one.
They are, love.
Absolutely great.
It's like winning the lotto when we moved in here.
Yeah, oh sure.
That's what it was,
I was just
yeah.
saying as we were coming along, that's exactly the feeling in our family, you know, with an inside toilet, a bathroom, central heating, refrigerator, a stove, all fitted. Wonderful. Absolutely great. People used to come just to look at our house. It was
Yeah, I
extraordinary.
haven't seen one of the.
So I know you've told us a little bit already about your childhood, but how old were you when you moved in?
I was just 6.
Just 6.
That was in 1948.
What are your first memories of your
My first memories are pretty clear memories, actually, of the orderliness and the cleanliness of it all. And of course, in order to move in there, my parents had to buy mainly new furniture,
Right.
and so that everything fitted. And the lasting impression of moving into this new prefab was of cleanliness and newness. There was a lovely newness about it all. And in a sense, it never lost that feeling, because as you look around these dwellings with plain walls, big windows, and the pattern of prefab we had even bigger windows than the ones
It was
here.
the Archon, wasn't it?
Yes, they were Archon prefabs, and they were remarkable places and great place to grow up, because we had a huge garden and we were right at the end of the mining town in which I was brought up, so our backs were always to the countryside. It was a farm literally over the fence.
Okay. And do people have a great kind of sense of pride in their homes? And
Sure. In a sense, the prefabs, it always occurred to me, this might have been my unique experience, were for the most committed and hard-working of the working class. Now, I'll tell you why I always felt that. It was because the prefabs on the very tiny estate in which I grew up were all for key workers, people whose presence in the community was vital for the community. An ambulance driver, a dental mechanic, my mother was a district nurse, the deputy manager of a local engineering firm, 2 policemen, and at one time 3 policemen, and a mechanic from one of the local collieries, people whose existence in the area was absolutely vital for the operation of the area in general. And so I suppose I got a particular impression of the kind of people who lived in prefabs. It was a remarkable dwelling because everything had a purpose, and it was a piece of wonderful engineering, and the proportions of the rooms, the features of the rooms, the size of the windows, the fact that our house was steel frame, and all the features of the house, the outside doors, the windows, all of the various channels and conduits in the house were all light steel and aluminium. And of course that made a terrific difference to the feeling of the house. Well, with our inside bathroom and our inside toilet and our fitted kitchen with a refrigerator, it's 1948, a refrigerator, a fitted electric stove, a fold-down table in the kitchen, all those features. It was a place of wonder, and we used to get visitors from all over the place just to come and see this amazing house. Now, we were lucky. I was an only child.
Yeah.
And so it was perfectly suited, 2-bedroom for us. The families in our area that had more than one child, it got a bit crowded, especially as they moved towards their teen years.
And did your family stay in the prefab or did they leave eventually?
They left after I'd gone to university and moved into the absolute luxury of a 3-bedroom house on a council estate. And that in itself was a great advance because by that time the prefab had been beautifully looked after and was in perfect order, but the creaking floors had started to get on my mother's nerves, and she also wanted to move closer to the centre of her district for which she was responsible. And so after being on the waiting list for about 10 years, they eventually moved.
Into the prefab.
Eventually, it was knocked down in order to make way for an old people's home.
Right.
And it was very funny because a fella living in the house in a street opposite the end of this small estate stood in the middle of the wreckage and shouted, "You wouldn't have bloody done this to Winston Churchill's house!" Because he wanted to keep the prefab and put a yellow plaque, a blue plaque on it, to show that I was brought up there. But unfortunately, his name was Jack Taylor, a wonderful guy, and he was unsuccessful in his effort, so it was flattened.